You just finished farming your field and want to visit your cousin Jenkins, who moved to the city a while ago to pursue an acting career. You happen to live right next to the local airstrip, so you wonder, is it faster if I take my brand new sports car? Or should I take one of the air vehicles that are available on the airstrip? The Mackenzie field, as it is called, has 4 possible vehicles that it can spawn. These are the Velum and Mammatus for planes, and the Cargobob and Frogger for helicopters. As you know from the previous test from Sandy Shores airfield, these air vehicles all have a relatively low top speed for air vehicles, especially compared to the really high top speed of 222 km per hour of the Banshee GTS. So first off we have the base round, which is the Banshee GTS, which is a very fast sports vehicle. It has the highest top speed on old gen and BC with 138 miles per hour, which is the version we're using right here, so it will be able to achieve that 138 miles per hour or 222 kilometers an hour. The only real shortcut we use in this whole run is, going through this field here. I tested it a bit, and this is by far the fastest way to do it. It's not really difficult, you just have to know where to go. And then you go onto this highway, and from here on out I'm just gonna speed it up a bit because it's pretty boring. Traffic also doesn't really affect this one. As you can see, you can just evade them easily. American infrastructure, after all, is centered around cars, so the lanes are basically 2 or 3 cars wide, so you can easily just merge in between them. Here we have a little trick where we use the curb boosting a little bit. And we're already at the city, and as you can see we're going towards the 2 minutes like high 10s, and the finish is right here in downtown. And as the time is slowly ticking up, you will see our time will be around 2 minutes 17, it's a little bit higher. In the finish screen here you will see it's a 2 minutes 17.969, so just under 2:18, which is quite nice. And now we will use our first air vehicle. We're gonna start off with the Mammatus. The Mammatus, not a lot of people use it because, well, it is really slow. As you can see, we're already 12 seconds, 13 seconds in, and it takes a long time to just start. It starts rolling after 8 seconds or something like that. It's very slow, and then taking off is another process. As you can see, we're trying to take off, but it needs some speed first. And we are finally in the air at around 30 seconds, which is a long time. Which is why these planes are definitely not the better options. I'm gonna spoil it a little bit. The helicopters are a bit faster, which is quite remarkable because this plane, for example, it takes off really slow, which really hinders it. But its top speed actually is around 212 kilometers an hour, which yes is lower than the Banshee GTS. But it can obviously cut across here. But the remarkable thing is that the next vehicle, which actually is faster than this one, is the Cargobob, which only has a top speed of 160 kilometers an hour, which makes it very impressive for the Cargobob, I guess. But it's mostly due to the Mammatus just being really slow at takeoff. As you can see, we finish at exactly 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And next one will, as I said, be the Cargobob, which, once it's taking off, is at a top speed of 160. As you can see, it is a lot quicker to get into and then also just take off. You get in, rotor start, and you're off within a couple seconds, already in the air. You can change direction quite instantly and you're off. Once again, we're going to be speeding up the footage a little bit because, well, it's only a 160, which is really slow. So it is, for example, 62 kilometers an hour lower than the Banshee GTS. So even though it can cut across this, the Banshee GTS doesn't really have that many corners. As you can see, it would just be parallel to this route right here. We can cut a little bit through the city, but barely anything realistically. So yeah, but it's still quite impressive. Like, this run doesn't compete anywhere near the Banshee GTS. Even if you crash in the Banshee GTS, still a better option. But it's impressive that it beats the Mammatus, which has a top speed that's, 52 kilometers per hour higher. As you can see here, doesn't have any top end, but still arrives about 6 seconds earlier than the Mammatus, with a finishing time of 2:44.339. The next vehicle, however, is gonna be a plane again. This time the Velum, which has a little bit higher top speed. So its top speed is 224 kilometers an hour, which is too high than the Banshee GTS, which is nice. But it's also 12 kilometers an hour than the Mammatus. But in the end, it's not going to help it too much. yes, it is, well, obviously faster than the Mammatus and also faster than the Cargobob. That's why it's, deferred in the video. And takeoff is also just marginally faster. As you can see, we get into the air 4 seconds earlier. Mammatus took a little bit more place in the runway, but yeah, Velum takes off a little bit sooner, and now it has 12 kilometers per hour faster, so it gains a little bit of time. But once again, we're gonna speed up the footage because, well, it's just flying. But yeah, Velum, you all know it from doing Kuiper Rico Heist. This is probably a route you used before. You go from the sandy, sandy or grapeseed area of the map towards, well, the port. In this case, we're going to downtown, and as you can see, we will finish with a time going towards the 240s, and we will just about stay under 240, and we will have a finishing time of 2 minutes 39.513, which is a bit faster than the other two vehicles, but still quite a long way off the Banshee, who, to remind you, had a time of 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Next up, we have the vehicle I'm most hopeful for. It's the Frogger. As you can see, we get in, takes off quickly like the Cargobob, but as you can see here, it takes off way quicker, because this helicopter actually has a decent top speed. So to remind you, 160 kilometers per hour, or about 100 miles per hour for the Cargobob. The Frogger actually has the highest top speed out of any vehicle in this video. So it beats the Velum by about 3 kilometers an hour, and it has a top speed of 227 kilometers an hour, which is actually 5 higher than the Banshee GTS. So it is actually able to outperform the Banshee GTS, so it can actually claw back some time. It also cuts a lot of area, so that obviously saves times as well. And it also didn't lose that much time at the start compared to especially the planes. The Cargobob was relatively fast as well. Obviously this is a little bit faster due to its high performance, but the planes obviously lost, well, almost 30 seconds basically. Well, the Velum a little bit less. But this one actually does quite well. As you can see, we're still not into the 2 minutes. All the other planes were well over 2 minutes at this point. And this one is actually approaching, downtown area in the high 140s, 150 now. And it's actually gonna go down right about now, pick up some speed towards the finish. And it's gonna finish with a quite impressive time, way faster than Banshee GTS actually, of about 2 minutes and 1 second, which is about 16 seconds faster. As you can see, 21893. The Banshee also had a 217.9. So it's actually 16 seconds faster, which is quite nice. Here you can see everything lined up. As you can see, the Frogger is really the only one that makes sense. Even if you have like a slower car on Banshee GTS, it doesn't really make sense to take the Velum, Cargobob, or Mammatus. Mammatus, absolutely no sense. Velum maybe if you have like a slower car or only have like an NPC car. But yeah, only still the Frogger.